Babes and bedheads, what's up? How we doing? Chapter came out a little bit late last night. I did read it last night, but I was like, it's too late to make a video, so I'm gonna make it this morning and upload it in like a couple hours. Um, it was a really good chapter. It was a really good chapter. I feel like when you look at a series like this, chapter by chapter in its entirety, it'll really kind of take the wind out of your sails a lot of the time because we've seen this. We believe this has been ending for such a long time at this point that it's just kind of like it's actually ending now. But every single turn of the page is getting closer and closer to the ending. But it seems like we've actually just about ended now. The threat that is posed onto the island now is so much smaller, which is funny because I believe, if my memory serves, that there's still more people there than a buster call, minus the admiral, which is like kind of the whole point. But there's still maybe like an admiral's worth of strength. I guess Kizaru is still there, huh? He's still on the ship, but I don't think he really wants to fight anymore, and I don't think anybody really wants to fight at this point anymore. Seeing the giants and the straw hats escape and them understanding, hey, if the Gorhosei couldn't get it done, then I don't think we're gonna. It seems for the umpth time that the man, the myth, the legend, Vegapunk has ended talking about what he's talking about, and just everything that puts on to the world. And there's a moment in this chapter where I was just like, okay, and it's when we get the flashback of Kobe talking about to Luffy about you would have to find the One Piece and do that. And then Kobe gets, they didn't give him too big of a panel, but he's got a solid panel. And he's like, I have to stop you from achieving your dream. And I'm like, okay, sport. All right. I mean, the fight at this point is still going to look like it did at Water 7. So, okay. That's fun. I mean, he's going to definitely have a part to play. It's kind of tough to say what exactly that part is because I feel like Smoker is already the character that has to he sees the divide in the two sides, and it's up to him to pick what he believes his justice to be, which is a huge part of what the Marines are. But it seems like Kobe is a kind of goody two shoes, so can't see him making the wrong call either. So I think they might have two characters that we like making that same call. Buggy has a little experience, and they're like, dude, we got to get a move on. Crocodile's like, sit your ass down. Caribou is talking to, we see Blackbeard. We don't know where Blackbeard is, but he's saying bring him to me. And I do think that a decent amount of the information that Caribou has is going to be important. Probably the largest of which is going to be what they found out in Wano. I think that Blackbeard is going to go to Wano, and then that's going to be a bit of an issue. And then there was also some pretty important stuff said in Fishman Island. And I think that the information that he has is not a dud. It'd be funny if Blackbeard already knew all that, but I would find that kind of impossible to believe. But what do I know? Emeth, the sweet little iron giant that he is, I love that it's the Iron Giant. The Iron Giant is just too funny to me. But the Iron Giant that he is able to push back the Gorosei, the never-ending force of darkness that just continues to come, and come, regardless of any supposed damage. But I think this chapter gave us a bit of an insight, which I want to talk more about next week, but I'll hint at it at the end about kind of what their power is, or I guess where it derives from, which is not too big of a jump, but the man Saturn is taking a little bit to recover. I guess it's kind of tough to even say that because these last two chapters have taken like 20 seconds. If you do the math of that ship falling, it's taken about 20 seconds. So I guess maybe he's not recovering slow, but it's been about 20 seconds. The conversation between the Iron Giant and Luffy shows us that Luffy's not Joy Boy. He's Luffy. He's Monkey D. Luffy, but he is Joy Boy's predecessor. He is the one taking the mantle of Joy Boy, of which Joy Boy took from Sun God Nika. So he's kind of just the next guy in this rotation. And then we get this thing where, I mean, I don't even know how it works, but Joy Boy was able to store his hawk in a knot. I guess we can say that that's okay because the voice of all things, and like they can hear objects, and objects do have kind of a natural presence about them in One Piece. So I'm like, okay. but that's its own thing. But he uses the strongest form of hockey that we've seen to date. Once again, probably the strongest attack, but it's just Conqueror's hockey. The Conqueror's hockey only seems to affect the Marines and the Gorosei, which is interesting because I'm like, why doesn't it affect the Straw Hats? Like, how did that hockey know to not hurt any of the good guys, any of the Giants? Like, they're just good. Anyway, there's a thing we see that the power is taken from all of the Gorosei, and I think that this is kind of a huge hint into what their power is. I don't remember the Beard Man already returning. I don't remember that. I don't remember his bird ass going back. I think I remember him getting swatted away, but I don't remember him returning. But it seemed like he was just hanging out and chilling there. You could almost say that he's like maybe the guy, but at this point, I don't think any of them are the guy. They're all just kind of puppets for the master puppeteer, which I think is kind of a big thing that we see here. We see Emu not only hit the deck with his knees, but huffing and puffing and shaking. And he was the one affected by that attack. And I think it's because the Gorosei are extensions of his ability, extensions of what the hub of his power is, which is why they can kind of just take all these hits and not really matter. What I would compare it to the most is like in Naruto when the reanimation jutsu takes effect. These guys are taking a bunch of hits, but they continue to recover because their power's base is held with Kabuto. So I hate to compare him to Kabuto, but that's the best explanation I can have at this point. I think that it goes way more in depth, and these obviously aren't reanimated people. They're people who have the elixir of life, I guess, the eternal life. But Emu does take a hit. He knows where it came from because it looks to me, I mean, we're only seeing his eyes, but it looks to me like a familiar attack. We finally see the Thousand Sunny hit the deck, and we can basically say that we are writing off on this arc, which has been very entertaining and super wild, honestly. It's been a very wild ride for sure. Garcia did not go back, and the other guy, like I said, had been staying there. Garcia is looking at Emeth. I think that he's just going to be the one to finish him off. I mean, I don't think that he really has much more left in the tank. He's a very old Iron Giant robot, almost 1,000 years old. But then we get a little memory, and this is the first time that we've ever seen Joy Boy ever. First time that we've ever seen him. He says he's going to gather his most powerful hockey and put him inside. We see him with the straw hat. Is it the giant straw hat? It's kind of tough to tell. I mean, that Iron Giant's big. He could still be a giant in this flashback. It's tough to say, and Oda made that a thing on purpose, and his shadow is its own thing. There was a thing a while ago that I love talking about how Oda only styled one person to be after like a classic pirate, with like an eye patch, a peg leg, and all that. And I think that we're kind of running out of pirates here. So it either has to be Joy Boy, which my brother pointed out that might be a peg leg. And I'm like, no, it's just kind of the angle. I mean, Oda, we know how he is with shadows. But it's either him or the man marked by flames, I think, is the only two options that we have left. So, really good chapter. It's a shame the magazine's on a break next week. I think that means that we're off. It should mean that we're off. But this arc seems to be coming to an end. And I think we'll probably be in some new territory in September. The thing is, though, where do we go from here is kind of tough to say. Because usually we get like a bunch of world in between arcs, but this arc was the world. This arc was us getting a big indication of the world, and I think we're still going to get a little bit of that. It's just a matter of what exactly. We're going to get Emu's direction, where he wants to go from here, and I think a lot of people are going to start making some decisions, start going in directions. But in the meantime, I think we're going to Elbaf. So really good chapter. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you can, sub if you can, and I'll catch you. I'll catch you next week. Talking about Emu, man, what a guy.